Hey, Bucket Squad, just a quick note before the episode starts to let you know that we will be taking a week's break next week, so there will be no new episode on the 15th of April if you are listening live. But we'll be back on the 22nd with an episode on our top 5 80s films, along with a in-depth discussion of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So look forward to that, and on with today's show.
Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us again. Welcome back to Culture Bucket, the world's best podcast, officially declared the greatest podcast in the world.
Who declared it?
A guy down the road.
I thought you said a name. I don't know. Sorry.
No,
Carry
just
on.
a guy. I asked him
Just a guy.
and he agreed with me. Welcome back. We'll be discussing culture as always, popular culture. Top 5 this week will be on Final Shots. My co-host is shaking her head.
What a bad idea that was.
The brilliant moments at the end of films that leave you wanting a little bit more. That final shot of a movie. Who has done it best? We'll find out later. After we've done some culture catch-up, some homework, all our normal things, and a new feature that I've devised. Oh, exciting. But I can't do this on my own. It would be boring. With me is my co-host, who makes it all worthwhile, Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone. How are you today, George?
I'm good. I've got my keep cup, so
Yeah, I
everything is
can
all right in
see.
the world.
It's full of coffee.
It is full of coffee, keeping me going, because today I have a headache.
Me too. Join the
Ooh, good.
club.
I like it.
Wow. Do you think it's a teacher's headache? Like it's nearly Easter time. It's nearly time for a
Yeah,
break.
maybe.
And suddenly, every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, is it Easter yet?
I woke up, I had a headache. I went to the area of my kitchen where there's just pills lying all over the place, and I rummaged through it looking for some ibuprofen and paracetamol. I could only find paracetamol, so I had some of that, and it didn't help. So I put on my shorts, went out in the rain, and went to the shop and bought some ibuprofen, looking like a Blink-182 reject with my Vans and my shorts. And then I took the ibuprofen, and that combined with the paracetamol has sort of broadly kept the wolf at the door, but it's all a bit fuzzy. So we'll see how we do today.
Yeah, we're not going to do great, I don't think.
No.
Well,
thanks for listening, though, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening through a headache and my I've been stressing out about this episode because I think this was the worst. I thought this was the best idea, the best episode, top 5 final shots. Then I realized that I suffer from forgetfulness and I forget everything. So suddenly I was like, I have no idea. And I'm frustrated.
I found a note on my phone that I made about a year ago listing my favourite final shots. So
that's what I need to do. So I think we need to put in a reminder that maybe in a year's time we'll do it again. And I'm going to start writing final shots that impressed me.
Okay, that's fine. We probably should do it again because I realised that with one exception, 4 of my top 5 all come from within the same 2-year period.
Yeah, I've been that this was like I went everywhere with this one, and I don't know.
I don't think there'll be any crossover at all between our lists.
No, not at all. Probably not at all. Also, because at one point I wasted an hour looking at final scenes, but final scenes are not the last shot. I was like, oh
No.
God, Alex, you're
Yeah.
so stupid. And then, so we're recording half an hour later that we rescheduled because I spent an hour looking at final scenes.
Misunderstanding the point of the the list.
Yeah. No, but because just because I was searching and searching for final shots, and I was like, oh, maybe I should put final scenes. Maybe I'll find more stuff. And I did, but that wasn't the point of the game, was it?
No, but it's easy to do. Like, I had to take one off my top 5 that I thought was definitely going to be on there because there's a shot near the end that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then just before the movie finishes, it just cuts to somebody's face and then the credits come up. And I was like, oh, you've ruined it. Why would you do that? Anyway.
Me too. Can I say the film that I had the same thing with?
Yes.
Rogue One.
Oh. What's the final? What did you think? The final
The
shot of
scene
Rogue
that
One?
I love, the scene that like really broke me and I thought it was beautiful was when they're on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I was like, that I put it down. I was like, straight away, put it down. And then I went
but
on
then
YouTube.
Don't you have like
and that's
CGI Carrie Fisher?
That's not the last shot. Carrie Fisher's which I was happy Carrie Fisher was the last shot, but that's not the shot I wanted. So
It's not even the last scene, is it? No.
No.
Does that whole?
No.
Does it?
But
do
if it had,
yeah.
But
Does it
if I
have that
had
whole bit
finished
of
then,
Vader?
that would be my last shot. Sorry,
Yeah.
we keep interrupting each other.
And does it have that whole bit of Darth Vader smashing through the doors?
Darth Vader is there.
That's after the bit on the beach,
yeah,
right?
That's after the bit on the beach.
Yeah.
And if they
That's
upsetting. Sorry.
it's indicative of Disney's need for those Star Wars movies to like tell a wider story and not be individual artistic statements. Because I feel like the director would have, I don't know, I feel like there's a version of that movie that ends with them on the beach because really that's the story of the film.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like maybe if they had left that shot, that would have been one of my best shots, but it wasn't. Because they had to explain everything, and also they had to put CGI Carrie Fisher. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Ooh, culture catch up then.
This is culture catch up time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff. Culture catch up time.
I'm starting today. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of movies and a couple of new releases and a short film.
A short film?
A short animated film. Yeah.
This isn't an art podcast, Alex.
What are you talking about?
No, it's nothing. I'm joking.
Oh my God, you just want to put me off, don't you? All the time.
This
Let's
isn't
put
a
off Alex.
pretentious podcast for snobs. A short film.
What was this podcast for then?
It's for cool dudes that like proper
Just
movies.
dudes.
Yeah. It's
They're
just
like
for
24.
dudes.
So maybe we should just
it's-
talk about 24.
I'm gonna
time.
pivot. It's just gonna be a 24 recap podcast.
Well, fine. So this is the last episode that Alex is going to be included in this podcast. So
That's fine.
To
I
speak
can do
to
this on
you.
my own. I don't need you anymore.
That is
No,
so
sorry, go on.
bad.
Tell me about your short film.
No, I'm not going to talk about my short film yet. Don't tell me what to do.
Tell me about that picture behind you of Charlie Chaplin.
That's not Charlie Chaplin. That's a geisha.
That looks like Charlie Chaplin.
You look.
Do I?
I wonder what I can salvage today from this recording. Okay, so I watched a film directed by Amy Poehler called Moxie, and it's a new release on Netflix. And it's about this. It's set in a high school, which I love. In an American high school, and it's about this girl that what. In this high school, there seems to be a lot of misogyny and a lot of kind of inappropriate behavior going on and considered okay behavior or just annoying behavior. And the main character, who is Vivian, played by Hadley Robinson. She has had enough of this, and so she starts this little guerrilla newspaper for girls, and kind of unites all the girls of the school together, and against the inequality and in the school. So she's kind of inspired by her mother, who used to like protest a lot against the patriarchy, and yeah, it's good. Amy Poehler is in it as well as the mother. The only actors really I knew were Patrick Schwarzenegger. I've never seen him in anything, but I know he's Arnold Schwarzenegger's son.
Paddy Schwartz.
And then Nico Hiraga, who's also in Booksmart.
Who's that? Who's that then in Booksmart? Because I've seen
he's
that. Who?
The guy that is I don't know who he is in Booksmart. I don't know. I can't remember his name. I just remember him in Booksmart. But I'll tell you who he is in Booksmart. Tanner in Booksmart.
Which one's that? What does he do?
Oh, he's one of the friends. I don't know. Just check it out.
Okay, it doesn't matter then. Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, it's a good film. Me watching it as an adult, maybe like at the end, I was like, oh, this could have been a bit stronger. It could have, but this is aimed at teenagers. And I think Amy Poehler did a good job, because it's got is light enough, but also has got some really good points about how certain behaviors are being considered normal, but they're not normal. Boys, not all boys are terrible. Some boys are terrible. Some boys are good. If a girl sleeps with a guy, she's not a whore. All those kind of things. Right. And I thought it was good. One only thing that I there's one complaint that I have, and there's at the end this scene where she the main character does this guerrilla what's it called, newspaper by secretly, and at the end she comes out and she says that she's done it, and there is a bit where everybody kind of starts speaking up, because one of the girls had like something serious happen, and then another girl comes up and she goes like, oh, please don't, my hair is not a weave, don't ask me about my hair, don't touch my hair. And I thought that was going to be, after that person, there's going to be more people coming up to the stage and talking about their experiences, but she chose only one person to do that. And maybe it would have been good to have like more people, more women or more boys, and coming up to the stage and saying what has happened to them and what is not supposed to happen, and what, I think, yeah. But I think that is the only complaint I have of the film. I thought it was good. I think if more films like these come out without, stereotyping girls and boys and everything, it's quite good.
Cool.
I think.
Why is it called Moxie?
Moxie is from a American ad for like a drink, a soda drink. And it's then from the soda drink, then it became like a saying. You can do things even without bravery. You can do things if you got moxie.
Oh, I know that.
Bravery, determination, energy, or resolve, or something like that. I hope it made sense what I just said. But I think it's a good film. It's good because it's got representation, and it's a good film to see in 2020 because it's the conversation is this. About representation, about equality, about gender, about everything, so I thought it was good to see something like this that kind of ticked the boxes, but in a very good way, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. And then what else? There's an actress, Marsha Gray Harden is in it as well as the principal.
Oh, from The Mist and from First Wives Club and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Does she play Moxie?
Well, she says Moxie.
Does she?
Yeah.
You got a lot of Moxie, kid.
You got a lot of Moxie.
Ah, kid, you got a lot of Moxie. You start a newspaper.
Moxie. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it better than Mean Girls?
Well, I like Mean Girls. What's wrong with Mean Girls?
Nothing, but Amy Poehler wrote Mean Girls, so I was just comparing it to...
Was it Amy Poehler that wrote Mean Girls? I thought it was Tina Fey.
Oh, wait, hang on. Yes, it was Tina Fey. Amy Poehler is in Mean Girls.
Yeah, Amy Poehler is the mum in Mean Girls.
Yes.
And Tina Fey wrote Mean Girls. Amy Poehler has not written this film, but has directed it.
Directed it. All right, okay. Is it better than Mean Girls?
No, it's not completely different.
No, it's the same.
What are you talking about? It's not the same.
I've not seen it, but it's the same.
Are you sure you want to record today? Because this is getting annoying. It's the same. It's the same.
Sorry. Right, go on then.
What
was your next film?
Oh my god, you are breaking my balls today. That's a saying that we say in Italian. The next film I watched is a film which is a historical legal drama. And it's called The Trial of the Chicago 7, another Netflix film. Netflix is releasing a lot of films, I think, because nobody can go to the cinema. Is that the case? Yeah.
This has just had a bunch of Oscar nominations as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. And it's got like an incredible cast. It's got Yahya Abdul Mateen II. I cannot say his name. I haven't seen him in anything else. I know his face because I think I've seen him in Us. I think he's in Us.
Right.
He's in Us and All Day and All Night, Candyman, The Matrix, Aquaman.
Doesn't he play Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen?
And that's where
I thought
I'm an idiot. I was in my head. I was like, I think I know who he is. I know this guy, and I went to see, and I just only went on the film.
Films,
I must have seen it, seen him somewhere, and I saw him in. Yeah, that's why I recognized him.
Yeah,
but
he is a phenomenal actor.
He is phenomenal. So
who is wasted in the Aquaman movie, by the way.
I haven't watched Aquaman. I have no intention of watching it.
And
fine. Then, so Yahya Abdul Mateen II, Sacha Baron Cohen, Daniel Flaherty, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Keaton, Frank Langella, other people that I know, Eddie Redmayne. Yes. So, very good cast, amazing cast, and it's about it follows the Chicago 7, which was a group of anti-Vietnam protesters, and it's about the trial that they were in. So they were charged with conspiracy of crossing state lines and inciting riots during the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The Chicago 7 were 7, and then Yahya Abdul Mateen, which plays a Black Panther, he was not part of the Chicago 7, but because he was black, they used him as kind of against them in a way. The trial was it was shameful, actually. It was terrible, and it was the judge was against them from the start, and the things that were happening in that trial were awful, and it's a good film. I read it after, it's not like historically accurate, and like every film not everything in the right order. But I feel like we need to stop criticizing those things, because at the end of the day, a film is a film and we know it's a film. And so the director has to make some choices to make the film effective. So there's a scene at the end where he reads all the people that have died in the Vietnam War since the trial had started. And that didn't happen at the end, and people are like, oh, well, that didn't happen at the end, but it's really effective at the end to kind of like to show why they were there, why they got trialed, why they went to protest. And it's interesting because this happened in 1968, and the police went against the rioters and beat them up and everything. And the same thing is happening in 2021. I don't know if you saw in Bristol, people getting beaten up in protest for no reason. And it's just like, why have we not got the right to protest? Why do we have to get beaten up by the police? How has the police got the right to beat up people? I still don't understand. And watching that last night, following what's happening in Bristol, it's insane, isn't it? And people are against the protesters. But why are people protesting? Because they're not happy. So in this case, they were protesting against the Vietnam War, which was an illegal war, who killed how many people? 150,000 people. Like, insane amount of people. And they couldn't protest against this war. And like I feel like the right to protest is a human right, because if not, you live in a dictatorship, don't you?
Certainly a police state.
But it's a good film. It's good enough that Sacha Baron Cohen's accent doesn't bother you too much, because his accent goes a little bit it goes a little bit in and out. But
that's an Oscar nominated accent, Alex, so I think you should watch your tone.
Well, I feel he's not Oscar nominated because of his accent, but I think he's Oscar nominated because he's great in it.
Okay.
Like, I feel like this is probably the first time that I've watched somebody butcher an accent and not mind.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, the butcher. He's good enough, I feel. Like, he's better than me, so I can't get criticized. But usually that really annoys me. But I think he's so good in it that it doesn't matter what accent he has.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because he's great in it. And and that's the thing. Maybe he hasn't butchered the. It's just because he's got I think because at one point he had a bit of an Australian twang, but also he's married to Isla Fisher, who's Australian. So I think he's got so many accents in his life, and it's totally normal to kind of. But I thought it was good, and I thought it's still relevant, and so I think it's definitely a film to watch to kind of see that Don't abolish the right to protest, because it is important. And that was a good film that I enjoyed. And then the short film I watched, I finally watched Bao, the short animated film by Pixar.
The yeah.
Yeah, have you seen it?
I think I might have watched it when it was sort of first around. I don't remember. No, I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
I've never watched it, and I was like, I saw it yesterday on Disney Plus, and it was so weird to watch, and I started watching this little thing, and it's about it's an only 7-minute short film, and it's about it starts with this woman making bao, which is baos, which are these little dumplings with steamed dumplings with meat inside, and then this little bao comes to life, and it's just and then she looks after this bao, and the bao grows up, and then he leaves, and it's all about kind of uh, attachment and people, your children growing up and leaving the house. And I thought it was really lovely. I thought it was super weird at the beginning because at one point she eats him. But I thought it was really sweet. So if anybody's got Disney Plus and hasn't seen Bao, I think it's definitely a really nice film to watch. Short film to watch. It's only 7 minutes. Yeah, it's really lovely.
Enjoying it. It's a bit of it's like a mother-son type thing, right? Or
Yeah. Then I was on the internet the other day, and a Pitchfork article came out saying that Justin Bieber released another album, and I remember that I really liked not the one before this one, Changes, the one that he released last year, but I really liked the one before, Promise, I think.
Purpose, I think it was called.
Purpose, not Promise. And
Porpoise.
Porpoise. Porpoise.
He did an album about a dolphin. Concept album.
Oh, be quiet. And,
No.
and it said that it was like the first album. Pitchfork thought that Justin Bieber was having a good time, and it was great. It was a great album. So I listened to it, and it's okay. It's not great. When Pitchfork says something is great, you imagine you want a masterpiece of an album. But no, it's okay. Like I feel like Purpose is better. I don't remember many songs from this album, but I thought it was interesting. It was good. He's growing up, and he's got some interesting songs. So if you wanna listen to an album that Pitchfork thinks is good, listen to Justin Bieber, and then realize that Pitchfork talks rubbish.
I will. My main awareness of this album so far was reading about the French electronic act Justice suing him for stealing their logo.
Oh, did he?
Well, because on the album cover for his album, the T is like a cross, right? And that's the Justice logo is Justice with the T being a cross. So, they're not happy with old Justy Biebs.
Yeah. It's just one of those albums that is Justin Bieber, and you go, oh, okay, and then nothing else seems matters. I don't know. It's just fascinating that Pitchfork thinks that this is a good album when there have been plenty of other albums that have been much better, and Pitchfork has just basically,
Pitchfork review albums based on like how trendy the artist currently is. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, they're ridiculous. Anyway.
But it's not a bad album. I've heard better. And then one thing that I enjoy doing at the moment is finding random things on my Spotify and finding new artists that I don't know about. Why are you holding your?
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to distract you. I'm just listening
you are
to you.
Trying to distract me.
I'm focusing my energies on a tulpa. Go on.
So I listened to this artist that I never heard of before, and called Oscar Scheller. He's a British artist, and he released an album in January called Boys Cry, and apparently it's his third album. I listened to it once and I wasn't convinced, and I thought, because we always talk about this, we always say you should listen to an album more times, and I listened to it about 4 times since since Friday, I think, like a couple of days ago, and it becomes better and better the more you listen to it. It's a really interesting album. It's kind of like it's got lots of different genres in it, so a bit of indie pop, indie rock. There's a bit of like synth pop, and it's good. And I think he said something about that is about men being vulnerable and not caring about their vulnerability and crying, because anybody can cry, and it's really, really good. Like I would definitely recommend it to listen a few times to enjoy it, because it just becomes, the more you understand the album, the better it becomes. And also reading about him and talking about this album, kind of saying what I said before, that he, talking about vulnerability, and let me just find what he said.
Why? How come when I look him up on Wikipedia, it redirects me to Lily Allen's Wikipedia page?
I have no idea, because I could find very little information about him. It was really strange, and this is his third album.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Lily Allen
Yeah.
discography redirected. That's really weird.
It's bizarre. Yeah, there's not much, so you have to kind of go and find it. But he said that he talks about his insecurity, traumas, heartbreaks, and trying to like show male emotion, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's he's Oscar Scheller, Boys Cry.
Nice.
Yes, and that is it for my culture catch up.
Lovely stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right then. So I've got.
What about you?
Well, what about me? I've got some films, a TV show, and a video game to talk about this week.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. So let's get into it. So I watched a movie from 2015. It is a Polish horror musical film set in the 1980s called The Lure. That's Lure. About two mermaids that come out of the sea and get a job in a nightclub.
Awesome.
Singing. I remember when it came out in 2015 and it got really good reviews and people were raving about it, and I never got around to watching it, and I finally got an opportunity to watch it recently, and it's great. It's like a proper musical. The songs are really, really good, 80s inspired songs. It's all sung in Polish, obviously, so I don't really know what the lyrics are as much because the subtitles didn't seem to translate everything, but the songs were great. The choreography and the musical sequences are great. The two Polish actors that play the mermaids are really good. The special effects or the prosthetics when they have the mermaid tails are really effective, and the story is really good. The story is sort of, one of the mermaid sisters wants to do the aerial thing of getting human legs and falling in love with a human, etc. And the other one much more wants to be the horror movie version of a mermaid where they hunt men and eat, seduce them with their singing and then eat them, kind of thing. And the movie is all about kind of the friction that is between the two sisters, deciding how they want to live their lives, kind of thing. It's brilliant. It's a very, very good film. It was directed by a director called, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name at all. Agnieszka Smozinska. Agnieszka Smozinska directed this movie, and it's brilliant. And I look forward to watching any films that she has to watch in the future. So, The Lure.
Sounds good. Is it scary?
It's not really scary. There's elements of violence in it, but not that much gore or anything like that. No, I wouldn't say it's that scary. I mean, it's described as a horror film, and it has the atmosphere at times of a horror film, but I wouldn't say it's trying to build up tension or dread in any way. I'd say, I think you could probably watch it and enjoy it, and you probably should check it out at some point. It's a cool movie, yeah, a Polish horror film about musical mermaids. It's cool stuff. Then ages and ages ago on this podcast, I talked about Whistle and I'll Come to You, a ghost story for Christmas from the late 60s that I watched and loved. And on the back of that, I brought a box set of other ghost stories for Christmas that the BBC produced throughout the 1970s. And this week I watched a couple of them. I watched A Warning to the Curious, which is very similar in its plot to Whistle and I'll Come to You. It's about a man who goes to Norfolk coastline on holiday to search for one of the mythical legendary East Anglian crowns that are supposed to protect the British coastline from attack. And in his search for this crown, he might disturb some forces that would rather it be left in the ground, if you see what I mean. And that was a good film, good atmosphere, nice and creepy, really scary. I think you can watch it on YouTube, so I'd recommend people check that out. Warning to the Curious. Then I watched from a couple of years later, I think Warning to the Curious was 1972. I think this was 1974. From the same director, another M.R. James adaptation, The Ash Tree, which is a period drama. It's about 35 minutes long, about a man who comes to run a manor house in the countryside somewhere that has an ash tree growing in the grounds, and it's got something to do with witches as well. It was pretty rubbish. It was hard to discern what the plot was until eventually there's a sequence where a bunch of like spiders come out of this tree, but the spiders are like, they have like that, they look like somebody's taken, Toy Story, Sid, when he's got the doll's head on the spider's body. They kind of look like that. They look like baby doll heads attached to like spider legs and then being puppeted by someone. All come out of this tree and like attack somebody. It was probably best avoided, I'd say. But A Warning to the Curious, I really would recommend that one. That was really cool and interesting and different. Then last night I watched a film from 2020. This was the last film I watched this week. It is a film written and directed and edited by David Pryor based on a graphic novel, and it's called The Empty Man. And it was a film that was dumped in the cinemas last year in the middle of the pandemic, went almost entirely unseen by anyone, made so little money that they didn't even bother releasing it on DVD, but they did eventually dump it onto like Prime Video and stuff to rent. And I read an article saying it was kind of a hidden cult, a potential cult classic in the making that had been kind of lost due to the pandemic. So I rented it on Amazon Prime Video and gave it a go and watched it. And it is a supernatural horror film about a woman whose daughter disappears, and her neighbour, who is a retired police officer, played by James Badge Dale, who 24 fans will know as CTU agent Chase Edmonds from the 3rd season of that show. Yes, please. He kind of takes on the case in a private investigative capacity, looking for this lady's missing daughter. Finds out that they had been messing around with a local urban legend about the Empty Man, which is your classic kind of horror film setup of like, if you find an empty bottle on a bridge and blow into it and think about the Empty Man, then on the first night you'll hear him, on the second night you'll see him, and on the third night he'll find you.
What
this kind of thing.
I've never heard of that, but great.
No, it's made up for the film. Obviously, it's not a real thing. I don't think.
Okay, sorry.
But it's like that kind of standard like film, like teenagers talking about like the Slender Man, or there's loads of movies that are based around like teenagers. Candyman is another one, that kind of thing. So he finds out with the Empty Man. It's all connected with it. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and it's quite wide in its scope. He uncovers a vast conspiracy all connected to this idea of the Empty Man, and there's like an institute that's kind of seems like a bit of a cult. There's an amazing sequence where he goes to kind of investigate them and finds this kind of bonfire ritual being done in the woods, and it's very similar to Kill List, the Ben Wheatley movie, which I also love. It opens with a 20-minute long prologue that happens before, with none of the main characters in it. It's just setting up the story. And then when that prologue ends, the title card appears on screen, which I always appreciate, a late title card in a film. I like that. So it's weird. It got bad reviews. It's got like a 50-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. It made no money at all. But you know what? I really, really, really enjoyed it. I found it really effectively creepy and scary quite often throughout the entire movie. I thought the acting was pretty good. James Badge Dale doesn't really get to star in movies very often. Doesn't really get to do much of anything very often, it seems. So I thought he held it together pretty well. It all goes very silly and bonkers by the end, but it's that kind of film where you kind of are expecting it to do that. And I think that it's a film that will pass almost everyone in the world by. And if you get an opportunity to check it out, you have to pay to rent it at the moment on Prime Video, but I'm certain it will pop up on streaming services for free pretty soon. I can't imagine it's going to be that difficult to watch. So yeah, I really think that people should find it and check it out. It's got a good soundtrack, good score, just generally a well put together thing. So check out The Empty Man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yes, please. Right, now that's my films. I've got a TV show I want to talk about, and I'm gonna just preface this by saying that this is one of the best TV shows I have seen in my entire life. I watched a 6-part BBC dark comedy this week, and I loved it from the start of the first episode all the way through to the end of the 6th episode. And if anyone is listening who hasn't seen it, I would recommend it to pretty much anyone. It is a 2019 BBC One, BBC One dark comedy called Back to Life, and it was created by, written by, and stars an actress called Daisy Haggard, who has been turning up in bit parts in British comedies for about more than 20 years, has never really had an opportunity to star in anything of her own, but has always done brilliant work whenever she's popped up in anything. And it's good to finally see her get an opportunity to kind of do her own thing. And given the chance to do her own thing, she's really risen to the occasion to create something that I think is brilliant. You will know her, Alex, as the voice of the mum in that thing you like that's not very good. What is it? Greta? What's it called?
I'm not even going to acknowledge that. You can't just introduce something like, something that you like that is not very good.
Sorry, no, that was very rude. That was very rude.
Rude.
I said it. I said it in a panic because I couldn't
Whatever.
remember the name of it. Hilda? Is it called Hilda?
Just carry on with your show
No,
by
no, no, no,
yourself
no, no,
and watch
no,
your
no, no,
things
no, no.
and talk about the
Stop
things
it!
you
Stop
like.
it! Stop it! No, stop it! I'm sorry. I apologise. What's it called? Is it called Hilda?
It's called Hilda. Yeah.
Hilda. Okay, so she's
You
the voice of the mum.
Bitter old man.
Oh, wow, I'm younger than you, so.
True. Sorry. But sometimes you sound like a bitter old man.
Okay, no, I do apologise.
So
I panicked.
She's in like Green Wing and like
Green Wing,
in lots
Peep
of stuff.
Show, loads of
Yeah.
stuff. She is in. If you've watched a British comedy in the past 20 years, you'll almost definitely recognise her face.
Yeah.
So Back to Life is a comedy drama about a woman who was sent to prison for murder when she was 18, spends 18 years in prison, and is released at the start of the first episode, moves back home with her parents in the same community she grew up in, and has to cope with trying to reintegrate back into life in a community that has turned against her due to her past, if you see what I mean. And Daisy Haggard came up, and it was also written by Laura Solon, I should say, who is a very talented comedian, and is there behind the scenes, so they wrote it together. Daisy Haggard was inspired, I think I had an interview to write it, but she was thinking about how much more harshly society treats women who have done something wrong than men, which I thought was interesting. And the series very much backs that up, because like the people she comes across who know who she is really, really, really dislike her, and it's quite hard to watch at times. But it's exactly my kind of thing, because it's set in this sleepy seaside town somewhere down south of England. It kind of is doing the David Lynch thing of the setting being very mundane and very normal, but then incredibly dark things happening just under the surface that people don't know about. I don't want to spoil any of those things, but it's a very dark show. Some of the things that happen throughout it are really, really dark, but it's all done with an incredibly funny touch that makes it incredibly watchable and compelling. The storyline running throughout the series is brilliant. It avoids the pitfalls of often when you make a show starring somebody who's been accused of murder and gone to prison for murder, it's sort of it feels the need to be like, no, they're a good person, really, and actually they didn't even really do the thing they were accused of doing. It sort of avoids that pitfall. It's very honest about this woman's past, and then looks into why what happened and that kind of thing. It's brilliant. It's genuinely fantastic. Daisy Haggard is really good in it. Geraldine James and Richard Durden play her parents, who are wonderful in it and have storylines of their own throughout. Adil Akhtar plays her neighbour, who she forms a friendship with. People might know him probably best from Four Lions. He appeared in that. He's very, very good in it. It's just generally, it's brilliant. Like 5 stars. I loved it. I loved every second of every episode of it and would recommend it to anyone. And it's in the UK, it's on BritBox, Netflix, and the BBC iPlayer, so there's no excuse to not watch it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so check that out for sure. That was Back to Life, and then the last thing was a video game called Dead by Daylight, which I'll talk about briefly because I've been playing quite a bit of that this week. Have you? Let me say, when I was growing up, I liked. Why are you shaking your head?
No, I was shaking my head because I thought you were gonna say, "Have you heard of it?" But I was
Oh, right, no.
preempting that I haven't
Right.
heard of it. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. So when I was growing up, I played video games a lot, and mainly like side-scrolling platforms like Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff. And he said Mario the Hedgehog. Then that's not right. Then, sometime in the mid-2000s, when Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was released, is kind of where I place it in my memory. Online multiplayer games became the big thing that people love, and since then, you've had stuff like Fortnite that's taken over the world, Rocket League, all of these games, and I've never quite been able to enjoy any of them for a variety of reasons. One of them being I don't like losing very much, and people who are better than me at games and beat me I don't find that fun in any way. So, like playing Call of Duty online and just getting murdered by people, not my idea of fun. Secondly, I like to play video games on my time, not anyone else's time. So whenever I have a friend who's like, "Oh, we should hang out online and play something," I'm always like, "Yeah, but I don't want to." I like to play a game for maybe 20 minutes and then I'll go off and do something else, and then another 20 minutes later. I don't want to like do 2 hours of one game online with somebody. Do you see what I mean? Like I tend to find that I'm an antisocial person, so I don't like doing that. So like online video games have never been for me. But last week I was on my PlayStation 5. I was looking at what was in the sale. Dead by Daylight was in the sale. Dead by Daylight is a horror themed online multiplayer game. It's what is it's what is known as an you're getting your own back for when I had that metal mug. Oh. I got rid of the metal mug. I don't use it anymore. It's what is known as an asymmetrical multiplayer game where you have a team of one person going up against a team of 4 people. One person plays as a sort of slasher movie inspired killer or murderer, and the other 4 people play as like the teenagers or the survivors that you get in a slasher movie, right? And in each match of Dead by Daylight, the killer's aim is to find the 4 survivors, knock them down, pick them up, and then hook them on these meat hooks that are dotted all over the map that you're in. And once you can, and if they get hooked on the meat hook, somebody else can.
That sounds awful. You're like I'm an antisocial. You're awful. You just like awful things.
Okay, somebody else can save them, but if they get hooked on the meat hook 2 or 3 times, they will get taken away by like a kind of god, dark god called the Entity in the game. And the aim of the killer is to sacrifice all 4 people to the Entity. Right? That's how they win the game. Okay, the survivors have to escape from the map, but the doors to the map are shut and aren't powered on. Then you have to fix 5. There are 7 generators in each map. You have to go and find 5 of them and fix them. And to fix a generator, you just have to stay next to it and hold a button down while you fix the generator. And once you fixed 5 of them, you can then go and open the door to escape and then escape. And I got it because it was cheap, and I've always kind of wanted to have a go on it and see what it's like. And it's really fun. It took me a few goes to survive a match. I mainly have been playing as one of the survivors, trying to fix the generators and stuff. And it's the best thing I've ever played in a game to sort of simulate that feeling in a horror movie where the person is trying to escape and they know the killer is coming for them, and they're coming and coming and coming because you're here and you're fixing this generator and it's making more and more noise as it gets fixed, and the killer can hear the noise, and as the killer approaches you, you'll hear a heartbeat getting louder and louder and louder until finally they're on you. And the killer can always run just slightly faster than the survivors, so if you're running away from the killer, you're always going to get caught. But there are things you can do, like if there's an obstacle in front of you, you can jump over it, and you can always jump faster than the killer. You can knock down things to get in the killer's way and stuff like that. So you have ways of trying to survive. And I've just played it all week, and it's the first time I've ever liked an online multiplayer game. I've really, really gotten into it, and they've they've gotten really into doing like licensed content for the game that you can buy to add to it. So like you can download, for example, Michael Myers from Halloween. You can get him as a character to play as. You can get Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can get him as a character to play as. You can get Freddy Krueger. You can get.
By the way, George, while he's saying this, is showing me some Funko Pops of Jason and Leatherface.
No, not Jason. I've got Jason, but he's not in the game because.
Who did you show me? Who did you show me?
I showed you Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Like
I just have these in front of my
of
computer.
Michael Myers. Michael Myers?
Michael Myers, yeah, and Leatherface. Right.
And a Funko Pop of Leatherface. How many Funko Pops have you got?
Oh, I don't want to get into that. I mean, publicly.
No, we're getting into that. How many?
No, load, too many, like 30 more, well, over, like, probably 60 or something ridiculous. I don't know. It's stupid. Anyway, let's not get into that. Let's not get into it. I don't like to think about it.
Why? You're buying them. You should be proud of your Funko Pops.
Some of them. I'm going to start selling them. I'm going to start work because I've got some that I bought years ago that I don't care about anymore, and I've still got all the boxes and stuff, so I'm going to sell some of them. You make some money. Anyway, Jason's not in the game because they did a Friday the 13th game around the same time as Dead by Daylight, and that kind of flopped and isn't really a thing anymore because of licensing issues and stuff. And I remember trying to play that once and not even being able to find people online to play it, which is a pity because Jason would go really well in the game. But anyway, they've got Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Leatherface. There's even the pig face person from the Saw films you can play as. What else? Stranger Things. There's a Stranger Things pack for it where you can play as the Demogorgon, and a Silent Hill one as well, which is another video game I like a lot. So it's cool. It's really cool. I really recommend it. You know, it's quite popular online. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos about it this week, and there's definitely a lot of people playing it. But it's not as popular as, say, something like Fortnite or, I don't know, Rocket League, Minecraft, all these things. So if you're listening to this and you like a bit of online multiplayer stuff, and you've never played Dead by Daylight, maybe check it out. We can't play together because that's kind of what I like about Dead by Daylight is it discourages. It doesn't have voice chat, I don't think, in the game and stuff. Like you can kind of play it on your own and still have a good time, which is what I've been doing. So yeah, there you go. Dead by Daylight, big recommend from me. I really like it. It's a good game.
Sounds okay. Sounds terrifying. Actually, I don't think I could do it. Like,
no, I like it. I had my first match yesterday. I did because I've mainly played as a survivor, and I've played as the killer a couple of times and been really bad. But then yesterday I played as Leatherface. I managed to kill all 4 other people in the map, and it felt pretty good to get a big win like that. I needed it. I really needed a win at the moment. I really needed a bit of a win.
You did, George. Well done.
And I got it. I got a win. So
good
my
work,
life is,
George.
my life
you
is
managed
better.
to kill 4 people in a video game. Great job.
Now all those other problems in the rest of my life don't matter because I won.
No, because you are a winner, George.
Yeah. I won.
You won. Well done.
I won. Winner.
Cool.
I'm the best. Okay, cool. Time for a new feature.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
George has decided to add a new feature.
A new feature called.
Do I have to join this feature?
Yeah. What I'm going to do, because I've enjoyed our YouTube episodes.
I mean, do I have to contribute to this feature? Do you want me to
No,
give you a
feel free.
as well?
Feel free in the future, or if you have something to add today, you can do. But what I want to do is I want to bring you some YouTube videos to watch, and then I want to get your thoughts on them. So I want to share a music video with you in line with our conversation last week for a new music video that came out this week that I think is like a pretty interesting, cool music video, or a different music video, and I think it would be interesting to hear your take on it. Okay, So
Yeah.
it's the new single by sort of avant-garde indie rock group Black Midi. Okay?
Yeah.
And the single is called John L. And I'm going to send you the YouTube link to it now.
I've got it.
So I'm going to press play when you press play.
Okay, I'm pressing play now. Like, I already feel like we feel pretty strange today, and this is making me feel even stranger. So I'm watching, like, this surreal video of these people with, like, white afros? And a skin suit. A brown skin suit. Some of them have got white afros, not all of them. One has got white afro. No, a few of them have got white afros.
Well, I think they've
And they're
got
wearing
like
this weird orange skin suit. And there's an eye. And they're dancing. Some modern dance. You're a strange guy, George. Like, you always make me watch the strangest stuff. Who's the singer?
Well,
Is it a band?
Yeah, Black Midi.
Okay, so Black Midi is the band.
Black Midi is the band, yeah. So it's whoever the lead singer
Can I stop it
is.
now?
If you want to.
Like, do I have to watch it all to guess?
No, maybe just hang on. Skip to 4.5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now it's quiet, and they're in a desert, and they're scared. And there's a baby. Are they all supposed to be babies?
No, the baby's in the background, right?
Yeah, I
Boom.
was wondering if the skin suits meant that they were babies. Oh. Well, that was fun.
What did you think of that song?
Fun. I did
Not
not
a
like
fan?
that song.
I
Not a
love
fan of
that
the song. Not a fan of the music video.
Oh, the music video is amazing. It's so weird.
Sorry, Black Midi. Yeah. I'm sure you're good.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't enjoy this.
I've got a shorter
Okay.
video to show you next. It's the last video
Okay.
for today's MyTube feature. I've just
Yeah.
sent it to
So,
you on...
we've established that George just only likes weird stuff, and this was super weird. So if you want to watch something super weird, Black Midi, John L. And yeah, if you have a headache, don't watch it because it makes it worse.
Check out the link in the show notes. So I've sent you the link to the next one on your Facebook.
Okay, press play. John Cena, yes! Sorry. I love John Cena.
Yeah, it's great.
Idris Elba, Viola Davis. So this is the new one.
It is the reboot.
By the reboot, do you mean that the other one was so bad that they're remaking another one to make it better?
Sort of. It's in the same continuity because you got Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang and stuff, but it's sort of ignoring everything else from that first one. James Gunn, who made the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, is making this one.
Is he? Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be good then. Who's that? Who's the shark guy?
The voice of the shark guy is Sylvester Stallone.
Is he?
Yes. He's called King Shark.
Oh, that's that guy from the thick of it.
Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
A lot of people in this movie.
Oh, you're shooting a big bag of dicks. Go, Idris. Or Idris. I hope the funny jokes are not just in a trailer. I really hope it's going to be good because the trailer looks good. Like,
Right?
I would like to watch this.
It looks
Yeah.
the trailer's better than the trailers were for the first Suicide Squad movie. So the signs are good
Well, I
so
had-
far.
Like, I had no interest in watching the first Suicide Squad movie at
Yeah,
all.
it's bad.
And I
Bad
would
movie.
like to watch this.
So positive on that one.
I'm positive. I'm glad you made me watch it. I hope I like it because I'll it'd be nice to make a franchise that's kind of a rival to Marvel, to have like a
Yeah.
good kind of like different, but it just I haven't really watched them because I haven't been really interested in them, but I think this looks good. James Gunn
Yeah.
is good. So
James Gunn, John Cena,
Guardians
Idris
of the
Elba.
Galaxy is like my one of my favorites. So
Yeah.
it looks good, you know. And I love when people swear, so there was a good swearing moment there. So yeah.
Yeah, you got a shark man ripping somebody in half in that trailer as well. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty
there's
pretty good stuff.
Yeah. When is it out?
It's out August this year, summer.
So the Joker's not back.
Don't think so.
Will
Don't think
Smith
they're
is not
bothering with the
back.
Joker. Will Smith's not getting involved this time. I think pretty much from that first movie, I can't think of much more than Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang, who Jai Courtney, who was really good in that first one. So, I thought he was one of the few highlights. So, yeah, hopefully.
So did they realise that the Suicide Squad was bad?
Well, I mean, the fact that everyone hated it and it didn't make much money probably was a sign.
Oh. Yeah, I guess so. But it's amazing that the good thing is the perseverance. They're still trying.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I think they probably once they managed to get James Gunn interested in making it, I think because he got fired from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I think that was when Warner Brothers swooped in and asked him to do Suicide Squad.
Why did he get fired?
I don't want to get into it. It was a whole load of Twitter nonsense. But then he got reinstated to be making the next. So now he's going to make Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but we've had to wait for it because in the meantime he's been making the Suicide Squad film. So interesting stuff, and I'm really excited to see it. I think it looks great.
Same. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Also love Margot, so...
Yeah, of course. Cool. All right, let's get into homework then.
Sit down at the back and be quiet and get out your book because it's time to discuss your homework.
Homework time! So, for homework, it was a free homework this week because we watched videos last week. And you asked me to watch I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. Mm-hmm. It's a sketch show on Netflix, and it stars Tim Robinson, but who also created the show. And wrote and produced and blah blah blah, but also there are cameos. It's a proper sketch show because they're kind of like cameos from like big actors.
Yeah, there's loads of people.
Comedians. Yeah. So the first episode starts in the most something that you would enjoy the most, like guy shouting at the TV, like this lawyer guy. Kind of reminded me a bit of like Saul from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Yeah. Doing a commercial about has this ever happened to you? And he just starts like really normal, and then it just escalates of like, you know, the people coming to your house. I think it starts with like, has this ever happened to you? And it starts with builders coming to your house. So people are like, oh yeah. And then it escalates to the builders like taking, and it just loves saying mud pies instead of like.
Yeah, mud pies is a good repeated joke in that.
Yeah.
Replacing your toilet with a joke toilet that's only for farts.
Yeah, and then that's it. And then it was just like, oh yeah, this is definitely like up of like right in George's alley. And it's funny. It's really funny. I really enjoyed it. And like Stephen Yeun is in the first episode.
That is one of the best sketches as well.
It's just like this sketch with Stephen Yeun. I hope it's Stephen Yeun. He's like nominated for an Oscar now for Mirai, the first Asian American to be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, but he used too small a slice.
Yeah, but yeah, so this is like, he's like a big actor and he's in this sketch show where, you know, he's at a birthday party. And the thing about this sketch is it escalates. It just starts pretty normally, every scene. And then it just escalates into just like absolute madness. And he's at a birthday party, and it's Stephen Yeun's birthday party, and people keep saying, "Have you liked my present?" And then he says yes. So give me the gift certificate, this gift receipt back. And then he eats it, and then he feels sick, and it's like, "Oh, you haven't used enough toilet paper after you dumped a a mud pie. It's like, oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's an
My
insane.
My favorite part of that sketch is where he's like, "Well, you feel sick because you ate the receipt," and he shouts, "No, I eat paper all the time. What I don't make a habit of doing is eating mud pie." I just always think of that. I eat paper all the time.
And then there's the one with a whoopee cushion. I think is episode 3 or something. There's a guy with a whoopee cushion and he goes mad. It's like, why is this supposed to be funny? If I actually farted, you'd be all vomiting by now. Yeah, so it's...
Yeah, is that the joke that I farted and you're not vomiting?
Like, I had some proper laugh out loud moments. And, the one where they're in the restaurant and they're tagging each other on Instagram.
Oh, yeah,
and one of
those
them
three
calls
women.
the other one dumb, and the other one calls them, idiots. And then the third one just goes way over the top. It's insane.
It's like, if I die, just throw me out in the street or...
Yeah, and it's also like the producers are also like the Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, and Jorma Takkon from
Lonely Island.
What's it called? The Lonely Island.
Yeah.
So I thought there was some interesting. There's also like, I don't know, some interesting. I felt like Tim Robinson kind of reminded me a bit of Adam Sandberg, just like his facial expressions.
Yeah, I can see that. There's that good sketch that Andy Samberg's in with the game show. And
I haven't
Chunky.
seen that one yet.
Oh, have you not seen that one?
That's the last 2 episodes, which I haven't watched yet. Because I watched like 4 episodes non-stop. I was like, Alex, you need to stop watching it because you can't just watch like... But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it because it's like a proper, like, short, funny, bizarre sketch show. Like the
so
sketch
much.
with the Harley Davidson.
Oh, the motorbike.
The motorbike, not the Harley Davidson. Well, the angels.
Yeah.
The Hell's
That's
Angels.
Bizarre.
And it's just so random. This guy just looks at like, oh, there's a motorbike. Oh, there's a closed motorbike, and then it just goes, and then it brings all these Hell's Angels down. What? Yeah. It makes no sense, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. So thank you for the rec.
Two sketches I want to just get you a quick opinion on. What, because they're 2 of my favourites. The Baby of the Year sketch.
Oh my goodness, that was so... I think that's my favorite. I can't believe I forgot. Yeah, because I should have written it down. That is so funny. What is it? And the names of the babies, and then there's a eulogy of the babies. That is so good. Yeah.
Well, the in memoriam doesn't normally say how they died.
Yeah. That's one of the best sketches.
It's brilliant. And it's one of the few that Tim Robinson's not even in. I don't think he's even in that sketch, but it's just so funny. That's always been one of my favourites in it. And then a sketch that I didn't... Actually, no, 2 more sketches very quickly. A sketch that I didn't like that much the first time I watched it, but when I rewatched the series recently, was probably my favourite, is the one where they're in a restaurant and he sees a guy he really respects, and then he starts choking on his food and won't admit that he's choking because the guy's there that he likes. Did you see that sketch?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I don't think that's in the last episode.
But you just reminded me of a sketch that I really enjoyed where he has a job interview.
Yeah.
And it opens both ways.
Oh, that's the very first sketch of the whole thing.
Yeah, it opens the door opens both ways.
He's just
it just breaks the door. Yeah.
Have you what about the hot dog car sketch? Did you see that one?
No.
Okay.
No,
and the one where the guy flips the bottle. The weird guy flips the bottle and he's like, now you have to marry your mother-in-law. A good steering wheel that doesn't fly off when you're driving the car.
That was good. And the one with the baby, the airplane.
Oh, the guy
wants revenge on the baby.
That's
Yeah.
Will. That's a big cameo. That's Will Forte from loads of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and the funeral with the is Fred Willard, and he's
Oh God, that one is
he's
too
the
much.
organ player.
Yeah, but it's just smashing the plates and stuff. Oh.
Yeah, and it's good. It's a good sketch comedy.
So
I really
broadly,
enjoyed it.
a recommendation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. I don't think it
Good.
would be for everyone.
No, but
I
I think
enjoy
it's
it because I probably would love watching it with you. I think it'd be funny to watch it like with you.
I rewatch it quite often because it's one of my favorite comedies. I love it so much, and it's so like the whole thing is like 90 minutes long or something. It's not that long, but the second series should be out sometime this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. My homework was to watch the Michaela Cole project from 2019 or 2020.
20. There's a strange noise on your end, I think.
You sure?
Could it be? Yeah. Not anymore.
Okay. 2020, the 2020 BBC/HBO production I May Destroy You, created, written and starring Michaela Cole, who regular listeners will know as one of Alex's favourite actors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 12 episodes long, but they're all half an hour. I thought they were hour-long episodes, so...
yeah, they're not very long.
No, it's interesting. Yeah. Half hour long, 12 episodes of half an hour long. I had only seen... I had accidentally seen about 5 minutes of this when it was first on, and I thought, no, I don't want to say that. Where am I going?
I don't know.
All right. First of all, overall, I liked I May Destroy You. So don't take offence at anything I say.
Okay.
Broadly, because I did like it. But when I accidentally saw part of an episode when it was first airing, I thought that I was watching an episode of EastEnders for a while, and then when I saw and checked what it was, I was like, "Oh, this is that Michaela Cole thing." I thought this was different from this, and I'm really glad that I watched all 12 episodes before we recorded today, because I think I wasn't totally sold on it until like literally the last episode or the last couple of episodes. Because it's really, I thought that it was, my sort of preconception of it was that it was like a drama about Michaela Cole's character, Arabella, and a sexual assault that happens to her. And I thought that was kind of like, I thought it was forensically going to go through that case, if you see what I mean. But the actual scope of it, and the reason why I thought I was watching EastEnders when I saw it briefly, was that it's sort of, that's the spine of the show, is this event that happens to Arabella. But the actual scope is so much wider and broader than that. Like, it incorporates her friends and the people around her, and you kind of get a real idea for their lives as well as Arabella's life, which is overall a good thing. It stars, so as well as Michaela Cole, it stars Waruke Opia as her best friend Terry Pratchard, who's a kind of an actress, and Papa Esiadu as Kwame, her other best friend, who is I don't know if you ever find out what his job is or what he
he does the dance yoga.
Oh yes,
he
does. He's like a fitness. Yes, yeah. So they're kind of the three main characters, and then there's a it's 12 over the course of the 12 episodes. So much happens that there's so many other characters that kind of come and go throughout it, but they're sort of the main trio that it follows, and it's really interesting. Like Michaela Cole's character Arabella is a really complex character. You don't necessarily go through the whole 12 episodes sympathizing with her the entire time. Obviously, sympathize or empathize with her for what happens to her, which is unforgivable crime. But some of the behaviors and actions that she takes, not necessarily connected to that throughout the series. Like, there were episodes where I didn't really like her very much. Particularly, there's an episode that really focuses in on her social media use, where she kind of becomes a bit unlikable and she sort of throws her friends away a little bit. Would you agree? How would you say so?
Yeah.
And I was a bit like there were episodes I liked more than other episodes. I think in particular the episode that came closest to losing me was there's one that has an extended flashback to her time in school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't convinced by the young actors playing the school children in that episode. I found that one a bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
That wasn't my favorite episode of the series.
You're very strange with like young actors and you're very like particular with young actors and flashbacks. Like every time there's a young actors, you're like, oh, I'm not convinced.
Why? When else
interesting.
have I done that?
Bugsy Malone, flashbacks in you don't really like. You're not convinced about the acting in what's it called? Northern Lights. His Dark Materials. You're not convinced about the child acting in the.
Oh yeah,
Dark
but I don't
Materials.
think I gave that enough of a chance. I wouldn't stand by that.
Flashbacks a while back that you were not convinced about those. Like you very, when they're young actors, you're very like strong in your opinion.
Maybe. I don't think that's totally fair. Like I love Stranger Things, for example, and other shows with young actors in. But yeah, that episode of I May Destroy You wasn't my favorite episode. But overall, I watched it all the way through. It never did what I expected it to do, if that makes sense. Yeah. Which is, I think, to its credit, it was really sort of confounding throughout the entire run of it. I never knew where it was going to go next. It went into so many different places and directions. It over the course of the series, particularly amongst the three main characters, it explores so many different kind of really current issues around sexual assault and different forms of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And it never provides any easy answers to any of the events or questions, particularly in relation to the Kwame character, who really goes through some horrible experiences, and it really kind of shines a light on how society is not equipped to support men. I don't know if particularly gay men, but Kwame is gay in the show. But society is not equipped to support men when events like this happen to them. And it's kind of heartbreaking, his character. So I watched the whole series a bit like never sure where it was going to go, not sure what it was going to do, kind of perplexed by Arabella. She does that episode of the social media stuff where she kind of gets really invested in. She looks up doxing and all these kinds of things, and sort of really goes all in on being a sort of social media warrior, which is fine to be kind of outspoken on social media, but like she does it at the expense of her own friendships. She starts to let those sort of go away, which is really sort of like. You're like, what are you doing? And then there's an episode where she returns to Italy, and that's like really like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing these things? Do you know what I mean?
What I like about it is that I feel it's a pretty truthful portrayal of a person. A person
yes.
And that's what I like, because she's flawed. They're all flawed. Like every human being. They all make mistakes. They all put themselves in situations that are considered dangerous, but at the same time, they're situations that people, it's normal to be in. They have, the thing is about what they show how Arabella's sexual assault was dealt with, and that was in a really positive way. However, that doesn't always happen with women. Like, is not always as positive as that. A lot of the times, even women have the same treatment as what Kwame had. So what I appreciate is that they showed both sides of how the police deals with sexual assault.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay.
Yeah.
How sexual assault has different faces. I thought that was interesting. And how they are 20-year-olds, nearly 30-year-olds that do silly stuff, and it's normal. And what Arabella does, it's some but what I liked is, like, I've had friends, and I've probably been like had moments where people have not liked what I've said or done, or the path I going through, but then you go back and reassess, and that's what she does.
Yeah.
And you realize what it is important.
Yeah. So, I watched it all the way through, liking it but being a bit perplexed by it. And then yesterday I watched the last 2 episodes, and the second to last episode is pretty good. It ends on a sort of cliffhanger, and I was like, oh, I'll watch the last one now and see it. And the last episode is 35 minutes of absolute genius level filmmaking on the part of Michaela Cole, who wrote it, whoever directed it. The whole thing is 35 minutes of absolute perfection, and it is so smart and clever, and it wraps itself up perfectly. And then I'm glad today we're talking about final shots, because the final shot, the absolute final shot, means nothing and everything at the same time, and it is gorgeous and perfect. And she is incredible for having the courage to end the entire series the way she does. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And what went from being a show that I was like, I can see why Alex likes this, and I'm enjoying it as a drama, but I'll probably not think about it much once it's finished. That was like 10, 11 episodes. And then the 12th episode, I was like, this is so good. And you couldn't do it without everything that came before. Like, suddenly it all comes together as one piece of work.
Yeah.
And is so clever. So yeah, that final episode, I'm so glad I watched it before we recorded, rather than talking about it without having seen the full piece. You need to see all of it to really appreciate it, I think, with I May Destroy You. And her housemate, the guy who's not in it that much, is he meant to be agoraphobic, or is that just...
No, I think it's just one of those people that, well, he's a stoner anyway, so he likes smoking weed and staying indoors. But I think it's just one of what he doesn't. Sometimes you live with people that you don't really know in certain situations, and I think that's the kind of people that she has nothing in common with him. She just lives with him because they have and I feel he is there for just the right amount of time for somebody that's completely detached from her.
Yeah.
So I feel like you only see him in the house because that's the only time that she sees him in the house.
Yeah.
Because they're only housemates. So I felt that was his role. So I think he does go out. But
I thought that up until it's just in that very last episode they have that repeated moment where he says, "You know me, I don't go out much," and I didn't know if it was a reference to that he never leaves the house or something.
Yeah, but also I don't go out much now.
Sure. I think my favourite actor in it was Weruke Opia, who played Terry. Yeah, Terry.
The friend.
I thought she was amazing in it. I really liked her. So yeah. Good recommendation. Good homework. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you liked it.
I preferred it to chewing gum.
Okay.
Just
it's definitely different.
Yeah. I liked chewing gum.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike chewing gum, but I thought this was like a step up for her.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Keep doing what you're doing, Michaela Cole.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our top 5.
Sounds like you had a really good time doing this list, so I'm excited to
I
hear
had a
it.
fantastic time making this list. Really, really great. And yeah. So I don't know. I'm not happy. Like, I'm happy with the films I've chosen because, of course. Why are you laughing at me?
Just because I'm not happy.
No, I'm not happy. Like, I'm happy of the films I've chosen because I think they all have really good final shots. However, I feel like maybe there are final shots that I like more. I don't know.
Well, there's not necessarily a resource for finding them all, is there? So it's a bit of a tricky one to do.
Yeah, and I've had final shots where I was like, yeah, amazing, and then I completely forgotten about him. So there was a lot of research, and I'm not entirely happy with my list just because I feel like maybe I've liked others more, but maybe I haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, these are the
And
ones
that's
that
the
came to
problem with
mind for
me.
you, or that you put down. So
Sorry?
these are the ones that came to mind, I guess. So they must
Yeah.
be important in some way.
Yeah. Well, these are the ones that I thought of, and I was like, yeah. And then I thought, oh, but I've watched so many films, and maybe there's some better ones, and mine are mainly like not. None of them are comedies.
Oh, mine are all the same genre. So
Yeah. Well, let's start with the list.
okay.
So my number 5 is the final shot from a film that I watched with you, and this was the first one I put in my list because I'll always remember it. And this final shot is from the film. Shall we say the film first, or should we say the final shot?
Well, I didn't know. Are you gonna? Because obviously, I don't know about spoilers and things. I was gonna sort of talk around a bit about like why I like the final shot, but without necessarily really specifying.
So should I say the film?
Yeah. I'd say the film.
So my final shot is from the film The Mist.
Nice.
The 2007 science fiction horror film based on the Stephen King's novella The Mist. So this film is about, I think we talked about it before, but there's a mist going there's a in this place, I don't know, in America. So
it's based on a Stephen King, so it's probably Maine.
So in a town in Maine, in the United States, this mist comes down, and there's horrible things in the mist. And the film is set in a supermarket, and it's pretty crazy.
Well, it does the zombie movie thing, doesn't it? Of having like there are monsters, but the true hook of the film and the true monsters are the people.
Are humans.
Yeah. So these people get trapped in the supermarket. They can't go outside because there are things in the mist that will kill them. So a sort of mini society develops within the people in the supermarket, and it's all about the sort of struggle for power in this community.
Yes. Struggle for power. And then 5 of these people, one of the main characters, his son, and 3 people that he meets in the supermarkets manage to escape. And what happens what happens before the final shot is something pretty atrocious. Like an atrocious thing happens, and it's pretty like heart-wrenching. And if that had been the final shot, that would have been also my final shot. But after the heart-wrenching thing happens, then the mist kind of comes up, and then the shot of that is just so like it makes it look so, you feel so helpless in that shot because something really bad has happened, and then the camera pans out. And then the last shot is just the military coming in and saving the world. And you go, oh my goodness. But if that had happened like just a few seconds before, just a few moments before. And I don't know, it just for me is that final shot is made because of what happened before the final shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. It really like undercuts you, and like you're already devastated, and then it just
you're devastated by what happens before, and then having like the moment where you're supposed to be elated because the military's there, supposed to help, you feel like real crap. You're like, oh no. I was just like, and you just want to rewind. You just want to rewind and say, no, don't, no. And I think that's why I like that shot so much, because you're supposed to feel happy and you don't. Well, you're supposed to feel like relieved, not happy, relieved, and you don't feel relieved at all. You feel empty and what's the word? Powerless.
Yeah,
and
sort of hopeless.
Hopeless, powerless, hopeless, everything, and that's the last shot of the film, and then you go, and I found that really interesting, so that's why that's my number 5.
It's a good shout, and also different from Stephen King's own ending, and he prefers the film version. He said,
and I saw an interview today, and he liked the ending, which is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know you always say that you can watch it either in black and white or in color. I'm so glad we watched it in black and white, because today I watched the scenes in color, and I was like, oh no, that won't work in color. It doesn't work in color.
It's not as effective. It's a film that works best in black and white for sure. Yeah.
Cool. What's your number 5, G?
Well, my list, this was the most trouble I've ever had putting together a top 5, because there was so many. Like, I had a top 5, and then I was going through the notes app on my phone and found an old list I made, and I was like, oh, this changes everything. I have to think about all these movies now. So for the longest time, my number 5 spot was the masterpiece from Rian Johnson, Knives Out, which I love, but I had to take it off for a film that isn't as good, but I think has a better final shot, ultimately. And I've gone for the 2013 black comedy thriller film directed by E.L. Katz. It's his directorial debut. It's called Cheap Thrills.
Cheap Thrills.
Cheap Thrills. It is a movie starring, and again, it stars Pat Healy and Sarah Paxton, who coincidentally are 2 actors that starred in a film called The Innkeepers, which also was almost on my list and is instead at the top of my honorable mentions. But Pat Healy plays a guy who he has a wife and daughter. He's struggling to make ends meet. He gets fired from his job, doesn't want to go home and tell his wife, so instead goes out drinking, bumps into an old friend that he hasn't seen in years, and they start having kind of a wild night together, and they go to a bar where they meet up with David Koechner, who is an actor who he's in. You've seen Anchorman, haven't you?
Yeah.
He's the sports guy in Anchorman, you know, he's him. So he plays a really rich guy who's out in this bar with his young wife, played by Sarah Paxton. And they start daring Pat Healy and his friends to do things for money. And it starts with, I can't remember what the first dare is, but it's something as simple as like going up to somebody and slapping them on the bum or something like that, on the bum. And then it escalates, obviously, and they end up going back to David Koechner's house. And it escalates, and it kind of gets wilder and crazier with these things, and the amounts of money that he's offering to pay them to do these different things kind of increase and go up as well. Like, I think there's a point where he has to go into the neighbour's garden and do a poo on their lawn, and it escalates and escalates and escalates and gets crazier and crazier and crazier. And then eventually, it ends, the ending of the movie, and I don't want to spoil it too much because you haven't seen it.
No.
But it ends with this kind of like, one of the characters who has survived this ordeal is back at their house, and their wife walks in on them, and you see the vision of her, like it's like her point of view looking at him, and he's covered in blood, and she has no idea what he's been doing. It's just like this sudden, like, what I love about it is the way it suddenly returns you to earth, of like you've gone up and up and up and up, and these scenarios have gone crazier and crazier, and it's kind of become the norm. And then suddenly at the end of the movie, it's like, oh no, this is insane, what's happened? And then the title of the film appears over the screen, and then it ends, and it's just this perfect moment of like right at the very end, just like pulling you all the way back down to earth and reminding you of how, and it just makes you immediately remember how crazy all the stuff has been and how exceptionally mad it's all gotten. And then it just ends, and it's this perfect beat to finish the movie on. And I remember the first time I watched the movie, I liked it, but then again, that ending and the fact the title card comes up, like the title of the movie appears over this mad image, and then it just finishes. It's perfect. It's perfect. Nobody says anything. It just sort of finishes. It's wonderful. So yeah, Cheap Thrills from 2013. That's my number 5 spot.
Nice.
Nice.
Like
and I'd recommend it to anyone.
Cool. So, my number 4.
Yeah.
My number 4 is the last shot from a found footage supernatural horror film,
Ah.
The Blair Witch Project.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I don't watch many horror films, so I think probably, I don't know. But this scene, I'll always remember it, and I think it's pretty effective as a last scene. So, The Blair Witch Project is about it's a found footage film about these 3 university students that go in the woods where there's a local legend known as the Blair Witch. They disappear, but they find the footage. The footage. So the footage starts all nicely, and they're in the woods, and there's some weird stuff happening, and it kind of escalates a little bit more with noises and in the dark. Like one of the scenes in the film is where they hear a noise and they're in the tent. Do you remember that scene? And then they run out, and it's just all dark, and they just run, and it's like, oh my god, just go back in yeah. And then the last, so it's usually is all in the woods, but the last scene, one of them disappears, one of the 3, and then and they look for the person, I think after that night where they run off. And then the last scene, they're in the last scenes, they're in the house and they're looking, and the stuff is happening, you don't know what's happening, and it's all very like crazy, and you go, what? And then the last scene happens and you go, oh, and it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the last scene?
I do. The very last moment is the corner, right?
The corner. And I can still see it now. It's just that it will always be imprinted. And I think if a last scene can be that imprinted in your head, like that is one of the best. Because it's such a, it kind of works up to that moment. And then that moment happens and you go, oh, it's real. Yeah,
it's brilliant because it doesn't require any special effects at all.
No,
it's just somebody doing something that they just wouldn't be doing in that scenario unless some force is making them do it. So it immediately is terrifying because it's so out of place and isn't right. And it also calls back to a moment right at the beginning of the movie where somebody mentions this thing, and by that time, by the ending of the film, you've totally forgotten that was ever mentioned at all. But it was, and it sets it up perfectly. Yeah, it's so great, and it's a masterclass in like building tension and terror with like no money at all. It's great.
Absolutely, yeah. And I watched that film at the cinema, and I was just
I'd love to have seen that with you at the cinema.
But no, I think it's a great final shot. I think it ends the film, and it's terrifying. And
you're
I still can
spot
see
on.
it now. Yeah. And I've seen that film only once, and I'll always remember that scene. And
That's impressive.
Yeah. But yeah, my number 4 is The Blair Witch Project. What's your number 4?
Choice. My number 4 is from 2014, just 1 year after my number 5. It's a thriller directed by Adam Wingard and stars Dan Stevens off of loads of stuff, but Downton Abbey, I suppose, is best known from, and Micah Monroe, and it is The Guest, which I can't remember if you've seen The Guest or not. I'm not sure.
I'm going to check.
It's
Yeah.
it's Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett who wrote it with him. It's their sort of homage to 80s action thriller movies like The Terminator, for example. It's about a family whose son has sadly died. He was a soldier, and then a friend of his who was also a soldier called David, played by Dan Stevens, turns up at the house in this sort of Midwest American family's house in the middle of sort of farmland, to sort of pass on their dead son's kind of dying wishes was for him to return and look after them, kind of thing. And throughout the movie, this character of the guest, played by Dan Stevens, becomes more and more sinister until you realise that something isn't quite right, and he starts to get violent. And that's where it goes into full-on sort of Terminator slasher movie mode. And the soundtrack is the soundtrack is so good. Micah Monroe as the final girl in this movie is wonderful, and it all culminates in this showdown at the local high school. She defeats him in the kind of classic slasher way. Spoilers, apologies. And it ends. The police have arrived. The fire and engines and the ambulances arrived. Micah Monroe is sat on the edge of this ambulance with her brother as the firemen are walking out, and she notices, Alex, one of the firemen has a limp. That's unusual. And the camera zooms in on this fireman. He turns, and through his mask, you can just about tell, is that the guest? Has he, in classic 1980s thriller fashion, actually survived? And is this a setup for a potential sequel? And if that was the final shot, I'd be pretty happy with it. But then it cuts back, zooms in close on Micah Monroe's face, and she just goes, "What the fuck?" And then the movie finishes, and it's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's a great way to end like this kind of 80s throwback movie with like a classic. The killer isn't, despite being stabbed however many times and be like definitely should be dead, somehow has escaped. And then it's just there's that kind of exciting moment, and then it ends on this really funny beat of her just being like, what on earth? Yeah, it's great. So The Guest, it's a really good film. It's a great ride. If you haven't seen it, don't let the fact that I've just given away part of the ending ruin it. It's the movie as a whole has to be seen to be believed. Particularly the bit where Dan Stevens comes out of the shower without a shirt on. Oh, even I'm getting worked up thinking about that scene.
Great.
Yeah. So good stuff.
Could I watch it?
Oh, the Guest. Could you watch The Guest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you could watch The Guest. I mean, you'd be tense, and it would be exciting, but I think you'd be fine. It's not gory like Friday the 13th is, really.
Okay.
No, I think you could watch The Guest. You'd be okay, and it's such a good film. Such
Cool.
a good film. You could watch Cheap Thrills as well. Actually, I think you'd enjoy Cheap Thrills.
Cool. Okay. Well, I probably haven't watched any of your films, so you can choose whatever I watch.
Oh, I already know what your homework is, and we haven't got to it yet.
Oh my goodness.
You'll be fine with it, but it's brilliant. Anyway, go on.
Okay, so my number 3 is a 2006 British drama written and directed by Shen Meadows, and the last shot, and my number 3 is the last shot from the film This Is England.
Okay, stop right there. I haven't seen it, so this might end up being my homework. So
oh well, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna spoil it.
Don't spoil it too much. Cool.
No. So the story is centers young skinheads in England in 1983, and it shows kind of the subculture which had its roots in the West Indies culture, with ska, soul, and reggae music, but then it got adopted by the far right, and especially white nationalists and white supremacists, and to kind of like led a division between the skinhead scene.
It's fascinating that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
so
amazing,
bizarre.
isn't it? Yeah, that it started off as part of that scene and then ended up being co-opted by absolute demons.
Absolutely. And so the story is about Sean, who's 12 years old, and he lives with his mum, and his mum is a widow, and his dad died in the Falklands War. And he's bullied at school, and I think he needs to find a bit of a group or an identity. So he kind of joins this group of skinheads, and which, everything goes well and everything is fine until one of the group's members who was in prison comes out, and then things starts changing a little bit. Sean, I think, in my opinion, but I think needing to be part of something, I think he then starts following a little bit more the wrong people in this group, until something quite bad happens. Until something very bad happens. And the last shot is amazing because he's by himself, and then he just I think realizes that what's happening is not right. And the last shot is amazing. So I'm not going to say what happens. I'm just going to say that I think it's a really good final shot because it doesn't involve just the film. It involves you. It creates a moment where you are part of the film,
Interesting.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've always meant, it's one of those movies that I know that I should have seen, but it just never has felt like the moment to sit down and watch a really harrowing sort of drama about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I love Shane Meadows, and I love his films, and I love how he ends his films, and it was kind of like, I think Shane Meadows came to my head straight away, and then I was like, which one? And I think This Is England it's because even from the title, This Is England, and how the final shot is, you go, oh yeah, yeah, I'm part of that, aren't I? So it's interesting, I feel, and you could interpret it in other ways. And you could interpret it as him growing up, or as Sean growing up, Sean realizing things, but I interpreted it as, yeah, we're part of this. We're all part of this, and it's like Shane Meadows films. It's hard to watch in parts. It's fun to watch in other parts. It just shows you the society that England was, and will be. I don't know, but yeah. It's a great film, and great ending. Great last shot.
I think Dead Man's Shoes is my favourite of the Shane Meadows films I've seen.
Yeah, I watched today. It's just yeah, that film breaks me a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, but yeah. So my number 3 is The Last Shot from This Is England.
Cool, exciting. Okay. My number 3 is a film from 2013, the same year that Cheap Thrills came out. I didn't do this on purpose. Yeah.
Okay.
It is a American thriller directed by the great Denis Villeneuve, who you may remember from my top 5 directors list.
Yeah.
You've seen Sicario. It is an abduction movie about kidnapping, starring the fantastic Jake Gyllenhaal and the pretty brilliant Hugh Jackman and the incredible Paul Dano, amongst other wonderful actors like Melissa Leo's in it as well. Viola Davis is in it. It's got loads of people who are brilliant in it. It is called Prisoners. And
Prisoner.
And unlike Cheap Thrills and The Guest, where I think it doesn't really ruin the movie too much to know a bit about how it ends, I think Prisoners is the final shot, and the ending is integral to what is so wonderful about it. So I'm going to try and not spoil it too much, but essentially Hugh Jackman plays a man Terrence Howard plays his best friend, and their daughters one day are abducted, and they don't know what's happened to them or where they've gone. And Jake Gyllenhaal plays a police officer who is assigned to the case of looking for these missing children. And Paul Dano plays a man who Hugh Jackman decides may have been involved in this abduction. He becomes convinced that Paul Dano is involved in the abduction. He takes, when the police don't really move on the case and don't really seem to get any results, Hugh Jackman, as a desperate father, takes matters into his own hands and does a little cheeky abduction of his own and tries to extract information from Paul Dano. Whether Paul Dano did abduct the girls or not, I'm not going to discuss too much, but that's kind of the setup for the movie. Is how this father reacts to his daughter being abducted and kind of all the events that happen thereafter. The final shot, I will say, I love because it's sort of it allows the movie to end on a completely ambiguous note where you're not really sure if what you think is happening, because then the movie just sort of ends. The actual what you're seeing on screen in that final shot is basically a close up of Jake Gyllenhaal's face as he reacts to something that's happening, and he sells it. There's this. He turns and he looks. He turns away and then he turns back and looks again, and he's got this look on his face, and you can read so much into it. And then the movie finishes before the story has really finished, but it leaves you at the perfect moment. And it's a wonderful choice by the director to kind of finish the movie on that exact moment and not go any further. Because frankly, the movie's 2.5 hours long, so by that point, the movie should be finishing. And yeah, it's brilliant. It's a masterstroke to end the movie the way it does. Jake Gyllenhaal, the whole thing rests on him. He sells it perfectly, and the movie overall is a 5-star film. And the ending, the final shot, as it all comes together, and it does this perfect thing of ending just as you realise what's going on, and then it's out, and it's great. So yeah, Prisoners, Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman, masterpiece.
Awesome.
Yes, please.
I like it.
Yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal. What
yeah,
a
you
face.
should check out Prisoners at some point. It's a cool movie. It's on Netflix in the UK. Whether it will be on for you, I'm not sure, but yeah, worth watching.
Cool. Have you got Jason on your t-shirt?
No, my t-shirt is Hollow Knight.
Ah, okay. Look like Jason, their face.
No, it's a video game.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
My number two is 2017 is the last shot from 2017 Japanese Lego thriller, edited, written and directed by Hirokazu Koreeda. Everything. Yeah. And the film is called The Third Murder. So The Third Murder is about this lawyer, Tomoaki Shigemori, and he has to defend his client, Mizumi, who is facing the death penalty if found guilty at a murder trial. This Mizumi has been convicted of other murders, that's why it's called The Third Murder, and has confessed to this murder. But there is not enough evidence for him to be convicted of this murder. So why has he confessed to the murder? So it's a film. It's a thriller. So it's a film that kind of, there's lots of.
That's interesting because that's not a genre that I associate with Koreeda.
Koreeda, no, not at all. In fact, when I watched it, I was like, this doesn't look like a Koreeda film, and it's very like intense because things happen and you go, but why is he doing this? What's happening? Why is this lawyer like this? And there's some incredible shots, and the shot before the last shot is when the lawyer speaks to him, and they're speaking on the they're speaking on with a glass, and it's an incredible shot, that one, because they're speaking and you can see the reflection on the glass, and Koreeda's been using that technique throughout the film.
Yeah.
But then the lawyer kind of steps back and he kind of goes back in the shot, and you go, what? And it's kind of like the detachment, and nothing is like, you don't know what's resolved, you're not really sure. And then the final shot is him coming out, being outside somewhere, totally random, and looking at the sky. But instead of looking at the sky like the blue sky, he looks at a sky with all the, in Japan, the wires are all out, aren't they? So
Oh,
the
like
telephone wires and everything.
Yeah.
So he looks up, and the sky is not clear because there's all these telephone wires, and it's just kind of blocked. And then there's another shot. The last shot is, it's panning out, and he looks down on him, but still under these things that kind of make him look a little bit trapped in this moment where he goes, he doesn't know what is that exactly, what position is in. And it's really incredible shot, because it's just kind of like it's a film that builds up, but then at the end, is anything solved? What is going? It's just, I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like it's a beautiful shot, because it just it starts, the scene starts with like the separation between the lawyer and his client, and then it goes to him being outside and being alone and not really knowing what he can make of it, and being, in a way, trapped by it. And the way he showed being trapped is with these wires. And I thought it was a good touch of an interesting touch of it, and you feel how, in a way, the lawyer feels. So yeah.
Interesting. I haven't seen the movie, but it sounds good. I'd like to watch a Koreeda legal thriller. So
it's really good.
Interesting.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I thought it was a good way to end it, because instead of ending it of them talking, he ended it with the lawyer being by himself and just thinking, what is going on? Yeah. So yeah, The Third Murder, Hirokazu Koreeda.
The Third Murder. Nice. Good stuff.
What's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is an older film than the rest of my list. It is from 1974. It is a horror film directed by Tobe Hooper. I know that you have seen it because I watched it with you. It is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just as a film, is one of my favorite movies of all time. I adore it. I've got the little Funko Pop here of Leatherface. I've got a blanket that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie is so good. The final shot, now it's an old film, again, it doesn't really matter, it doesn't really affect your enjoyment of the rest of the film, so I'm going to go into some spoilers here with the final shot. The main character, I think she's called Susie. Is she Susie? The Texas Chainsaw. Oh, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sally, sorry. The main character, Sally, has made this miraculous escape from the Sawyer's farmhouse where the cannibal family have been attempting to kill her by jumping out of the window and running away. She's been trapped there all through the night, so the sun is kind of rising during this final scene. She runs out into the road. She tries to... she stops a big lorry to try and escape on that, and Leatherface turns up with his chainsaw and sort of puts a stop to that. Are you all right?
Yeah, I was like, ah.
Oh, yeah. And then a pickup truck arrives, she jumps in the back of it, and the pickup truck starts driving away. And there's a shot of her sat in the back of this pickup truck, just laughing and laughing and laughing and manically laughing, and she's covered head to toe in blood. and she's going away, and in the background, left in the road, is Leatherface, who has been denied his kill or whatever it is, and basically throws a tantrum. So the final shot of the movie is this close-up shot of Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface, just spinning around wildly in the road with this chainsaw revving. The soundtrack is just the noise of this chainsaw. He's spinning it all over the place. He's got all this pent-up rage and frustration and anger that he wanted to take out on Sally. She's escaped, and he's spinning around, having a tantrum. And then the final shot is this close-up on him doing this, with the sun rising in the background, and just the sun is just kind of covering him in its light as and then it ends, and it's just a perfect way to end the movie, is on this tantrum of Leatherface's with the sun just coming up in the background. It's a beautiful shot. It looks wonderful, and it kind of ends like the whole movie builds this high energy chase sequence, and by this point in the movie, it's been at full speed for about half an hour. You've not been able to stop for breath, and it just, right at the peak of all the madness, it ends on this wonderful shot, and it's great. Yeah, what do you think, Alex? Because you've seen it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool shot. Yeah, it's pretty kind of memorable. Another memorable shot of him just going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Which is why I like to play as Leatherface in Dead by Daylight. Because it's pretty good actually in Dead by Daylight, Alex. You use the sort of sledgehammer to hit people with when you're playing as him, but your power, because each killer has a different power, his power is you can rev up the chainsaw and start slashing with the chainsaw, right? But if you miss the survivor and accidentally hit a wall or something with your chainsaw and they get away, you're forced for about 5 seconds. You can't move while he does a mad tantrum like at the end of the film. It's pretty good. I really like it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
It's great. Anyway,
cool.
What's your number one? Oh my god, your number one. Your top favorite final shot ever.
Oh, this is hard. So let's not say my favorite final shot ever. It's just for now my favorite final shot.
All right, I see what you mean.
Ever.
Right, that's fine. Go on. What's your number one?
I'm so non-committal with my top 5. Like, I love my final shots, but like I know I can find better ones. But I don't know. Like, I think though, like there's so many films with incredible final shots as well that you know sometimes they go you miss you forget about them. Like you're excited.
Forget about it.
By at the end. Forget about it.
You're so Italian. You're so Italian.
Oh, shut up. You're excited about it at the end, but then you forget, and you know, I forget everything. I sometimes forget my name. But never mind. My number one pick is a film, a 1999 film starring Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, Meatloaf, and Helen Bonham Carter, and the film is David Fincher's film Fight Club.
Yeah.
This was one of the first ones that went in my list because I love that final shot. But Fight Club is about this nameless guy played by Edward Norton who likes to attend support groups even if he hasn't really got any problems apart from I think he suffers from insomnia. In these support groups he meets Helen Bonham Carter and who, you know, kind of becomes his girlfriend, kind of. And then he meets this guy, Tyler, played by Brad Pitt, and who is a soap salesman, and they make soap out of fat. Mm-hmm. That's seeing when they're going to get the fat is disgusting. And then
most of this movie is disgusting.
Yeah, most of the movie is disgusting, and they start a fight club. Edward Norton and Brad Pitt start a fight club, which is pretty exciting, and all of it is kind of like you know, they're creating with this soap. They're creating like explosives. Yeah, is that a spoiler?
No, well, I mean, the Fight Club sort of grows out of control and starts getting
Yeah.
involved in like
Yeah.
anarcho-terrorism sort of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. It starts becoming like pretty crazy. And the last shot is Edward Norton and Helen Bonham Carter listening to this incredible song, which is
Where Is My Mind by the Pixies, right?
Yes. Watching New York burn.
Well, the buildings
But it's
are
like
exploding through the
why
window,
the
right?
buildings explode, and it's like the most. It's like like you see a city being destroyed by such a calm. I think it's the calmest moment in that film, and there's this song that they hold hands and they just watch, and it's
It's
a beautiful final shot.
it's
Just
pretty like nihilistic, right?
yeah, and it's just perfect.
Yeah.
I love that moment, and it's just it's kind of how would you there's a word where it's just like it's one thing, but if you feel the opposite, like you're supposed to feel
Like a
maybe
paradox
scared or confused. Yeah, scared or confused, but then you feel calm and kind of content
Yeah.
of what is happening because he feels that way.
Because the movie's done such a good job of spending like 2 hours of making you think that society is completely broken, essentially.
Yeah.
Like it's a very sort of, it drags you into its worldview quite well, doesn't it, that film, I think? And then
Yeah.
by the time that happens at the end, you almost don't care that these buildings have been blown up.
Yeah. And I think that the choice of music also really helps as well.
Yeah, it's become iconically connected to that scene, hasn't it?
Yeah. What's your number one?
So my number one was the first film that I put on my list because it was a film that I watched and like the final shot in this movie just blew me away. But I don't want to talk too much about why. Because if you haven't seen this film, I don't think you have. This is definitely going to be your homework for this week. It's a 2015 film starring Logan Marshall Green and John Carroll Lynch as well. Quite iconic, quite good performance in it. Directed by Karin Kusama. The Invitation. Do you know The Invitation?
I've seen it.
Sorry?
I've seen it.
You have seen it?
No, I haven't. Sounds scary.
No, it's not too. So Logan Marshall Green.
Oh no! Yeah.
But Logan Marshall Green goes with his girlfriend to the Hollywood Hills home of his ex-wife Eden, who is hosting a dinner party with her new husband. That's the setup of the movie. So already a little bit of awkwardness there because he's taking his new girlfriend to his ex-wife's house for a dinner party. They get there, they have this dinner party, and things are pretty awkward and strange. And then after the dinner, they are introduced to. They basically have a meeting, and they are introduced to John Carroll Lynch's character, who kind of tries to sell them on something. And I don't want to go much more than that because the movie really is all about its story and wouldn't be as effective if you knew much more than that about it. But what I love so much about this film is it's clearly got quite a low budget. Although Karin Kusama, she's directed quite a few movies. She's definitely what's the word? Experienced as a director, but I don't think it's a big budget film. And it uses its final shot to expand itself, and that's all I want to say about it. But I love it. I love the final shot in this movie. I think it's perfect. I think the movie itself is really good. I probably prefer like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I think that the final shot in this film is brilliant and really, really good. I love the way this film ends. I remember the first time I watched it, I just immediately was like, that is a great final shot. That is one of my favourite final shots. So that's all I really want to say about it. Why are you shaking your head?
Why do you always want to show me stuff that I don't want to see?
Why are you saying that?
I don't want to watch a horror film.
It's not a horror film.
It says.
I
It
know
clearly
what.
says.
I know
It
what.
clearly states.
I know what.
Just a
Wikipedia
moment.
says.
Wikipedia. 2015 American horror film. It starts with The Omen, The
Oh, come on! What are you
Texas
talking
Chainsaw
about?
Massacre,
The Fight Club.
The
You've seen that?
Shining. No, it's called just Fight Club. It's not called The Fight Club.
I'm pretty sure it's called The Fight Club.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
The book is called The Fight Club.
I'm pretty sure.
No, it's called Fight Club. It's called Fight Club.
I'm pretty sure it's The Fight Club, Alex. I think I know what
you
I'm
are.
talking about.
You are insane. I've got Wikipedia in front of me. You're insane. Why you always up want to watch? Why?
Alex,
Why?
Alex, it's a thriller at best. It's definitely not a horror film. It really isn't.
Thriller at best. It says horror film.
It's no more a horror film than The Fight Club is. Okay.
I'm gonna strike this week. I'm not doing my homework.
Yes, you are. Or The Third Murder.
Come on.
The Third Murder.
Come on.
Yeah. The Little Sister.
Our Little Sister.
The Shoplifters.
No, Shoplifters. You are insane. You're insane. So number 1 is The Invitation, an American horror film.
It's a thriller. It's not a horror film. It's a thriller film.
Okay.
It's brilliant,
well,
Alex.
great.
You'll maybe like it. It's brilliant.
That's fine.
It's tense, but it's not scary.
Okay, top 5. Do you want to talk any more about the thriller?
No, I wouldn't dare.
No?
What's your go through your top 5 one more time for me, please.
So my number 5 is The Mist. Number 4,
The Mist.
The Blair Witch Project.
The Blair Witch
See,
Project.
The Mist, The Blair Witch Project.
The Toy Story, The Cars, The Lion King.
It's called. The only
Jungle
one that was right
Book.
there was The Lion King. Be quiet.
The Aristocats.
Number 3. Be quiet. Number 3, This Is England. My number 2, The Third Murder. And number 1, Fight Club.
I think you'll find it's The Fight Club. Okay.
No.
Why do you keep getting annoyed at me about that? I'm obviously winding you up. Okay. My top 5. Number 5, Cheap Thrills. Number 4, The Guest. Number 3, Prisoners. Number 2, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And number 1, The Invitation. Have you got any honourable mentions for me?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Honorable mentions. Knives Out.
Yes, please.
There's a beautiful final shot where the housekeeper looks down at the family.
Yep.
It's really good.
Yep.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The great last shot of him walking in the woods. What's it called?
Jack Nicholson's character, is it? Or is it the chief?
It's not Jack Nicholson, it's the chief. The chief is a great shot of the chief walking in the woods. Gone Girl is the first shot is exactly the same as the last shot, but the last shot you understand what's happening. She's a psycho. Train Spotting, great final shot. The beginning of Train Spotting, it talks about what people want, and at the end he maybe can get that, which is pretty cool. The Truman Show, when he walks out the door.
Oh, I didn't even think about the Truman Show. That's a great shout.
Such a good final shot. Moonstruck, the final shot is of the nonna in Nonno, the ones that have come from Italy. Is the photo of the grandpa and the granddad that have come from Italy, and it kind of like shows family is everything. Thelma and Louise, the last shot is the car coming going into the canyon. Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a really heartbreaking last shot. Kind of you kind of figure out things.
I haven't even seen Grave of the Fireflies, and I'm upset.
Have you not? Have you not?
No.
Yeah. And The
I'm
Breakfast
still
Club, it's an iconic final shot and it's been used in so many things. And even if you haven't watched The Breakfast Club, you know what the final shot is. And it's just like, for such a, John Hughes film, the final shot, everybody knows it with the song, Don't You Forget About Me. And
I mean,
that's it.
I will give you this. That's the only good bit of The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, exactly. But can you imagine that you have such a okay film? Like, it's not a good film. Like, you watch it because you like John Hughes films or something, and the the final shot is so iconic that kind of everybody knows the Breakfast Club, even if is an average film.
Yeah, definitely. That final, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And the song, don't you
forget about me. Don't. And that's it.
Interesting. Okay. Mm, mm, mm.
I'm sure there's more, but
There's one on my honorable mentions that I really thought you might have in your top 5, but you haven't mentioned it at all yet. So we'll see.
okay.
My honorable mentions: Knives Out, same as you. I think that's
Yeah.
just a wonderful moment in that movie. It Follows is the film where the second to last shot is amazing, and then the actual final shot is just a shot of two characters, but it's still pretty good. The Innkeepers, an amazing haunted house film that is a real Marmite movie. Some people hate it, but I love it. It's a really slow burn, and the final shot is it's just a shot of a room, and there's something hidden in it, and I had to watch it 3 times before I could notice what was happening, and it's perfect. The Witch, Robert Eggers' The Witch, great final shot in that movie. The Mist, which you've talked about. Saw. Have you seen Saw? Have you seen Saw?
Are you crazy?
Have you seen Saw?
Are you crazy?
Have you seen Saw?
Are you crazy?
Have you
Are you crazy?
Have you seen Saw? Well, there's an amazing the final moment of the first Saw movie is a game over moment, and it's great. I love it. Here's the one that I thought you might have on your list. It was nearly on my list. Jojo Rabbit.
Oh yeah.
With the Bowie song, and they're dancing and it's cutting back and forth between them. And then
that's such a beautiful final shot.
Yeah, it's perfect.
See, that's terrible. I need to write final shots because that's yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. The Vanishing, or Sporloose, has an amazing final shot where you realise that the villain might have won, and it's heartbreaking, but great. Kill List, the Ben Wheatley masterpiece, has just it's such a good love it. Halloween, the John Carpenter film, excellent final shot. The camera the camera starts to show you all the locations through the movie has been set in, but they're all silent and quiet, and all the action has vanished from them. But something still feels sinister because it's so good. The Thing, Kurt Russell, again, John Carpenter, who can do a final shot like no one else. The Thing, Kurt Russell and is it Keith David? I think sat in the research center as it burns, and they don't know which of them is the Thing. It's so good. Call Me by Your Name. Have you seen Call Me by Your Name?
I don't know. I need to watch that. But now that guy's come out to be a creep, I don't want to watch it anymore.
Oh, it's tough, that one, because Armie Hammer. But I wouldn't. You should still watch it. I think I really, really like Call Me by Your Name. And the final shot sort of stayed. The credits kind of run over the final shot, and you kind of stay with this character for ages, and it's great. The final shot of Call Me by Your Name is wonderful. The Lobster, Yorgos Lanthimos's kind of weird classic, has a brilliant really ambiguous final shot. Hereditary, Ari Aster's first movie, has just a completely bonkers final shot. You don't really understand what's going on. Midsummer, Ari Aster's second film.
Midsummer. Yeah. I forgot about Midsummer. That's a beautiful final shot.
It's a wonderful final shot. Florence Pugh is so good. And then you're not going to agree with me, but The Lighthouse, I really rate the final shot in that as well. There you go. Those are my honourable mentions.
Great.
Great, door. So, Alex, if you could only recommend a couple of things from this week's Culture Catch-Up, what would you be recommending right about now?
I would recommend the album by Oscar Scheller, Boys Cry.
Yeah.
I think is a good album. And definitely watch Moxie. I think it's a fun film, Moxie.
Nice. Good choices.
Yeah. Available on Netflix.
Yes, please. I would recommend to everyone and anyone the BBC show Back to Life, which is a perfect TV show. It's so good. And the video game Dead by Daylight. If you're a hashtag gamer, then check that out. It's good. What's my homework?
Okay, so for homework, I would I don't know, like you could watch either. Which one is easiest to watch?
Well, they're both.
I think
they're both easy to watch. I looked up The Third Murder, and I can rent it for under £1.
I will watch The Third Murder. Something.
Okay, I'll check out The Third Murder. That sounds good. I will watch This Is England as well because I feel
and then maybe one day you'll watch This Is England.
Yeah. But the Third Murder.
So,
that sounds cool.
So I'm watching Cheap Thrills, yeah?
No.
Homework.
You're watching The Invitation.
Yes, great.
No,
Thank
The
you.
Invitation.
And that's it for the episode.
Cheap Thrills is probably scarier than The Invitation. Stop being ridiculous. The Invitation. You're gonna watch The Invitation. You're gonna like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Person. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of
Thank you.
Culture Bucket. We've had our downloads have been going up slightly in recent weeks. So if you're a relatively new listener, then thank you so much. Please get in touch. Just get in touch. Just email us. The link to our email is in the show notes. It would be great just to hear from people. Just let us know what you think. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and anywhere else that podcasts can be reviewed, so that we can get some more listeners. Check us out on the social medias everywhere. Alex does insanely good artwork for every episode that you will have to look us up on
thank you.
Instagram to see. So please do go and check us out on Instagram. And so next time we're going to be hitting a decade again, and we're going to be doing our top 5 80s films.
Yeah.
What a genre.
Yeah.
What a decade even. Not a genre. Although the 80s film almost is a genre all of its own. I like it. So yeah, check us out. It's going to be exciting. Are you excited, Alex?
I am very excited until I'm going to start making my list. So
yeah. Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Send us top 5s. Please email us your top 5s. Okay. Thank you. Love you. Bye.